Every so often, a game comes along that not only combines multiple aspects of different game genres, but more importantly does it very well, which is why Against the Storm caught my attention. After about 2 years in early access, Against the Storm was released at the end of 2023 to overwhelmingly positive reviews and praise. I just had to give this cozy city-building roguelite a try. Join me as I talk about my perilous journey through the game to ask and answer the simple question, should you make time for Against the Storm? When I first heard about it, I was a little skeptical as to how a city builder or colony management game, which tend to require long-form gaming sessions, can merge with a roguelite, which are typically short, bursty sessions of gameplay, and boy what I found out shocked me. In Against the Storm, you are charged by your queen to establish colonies and settlements leading out of the capital city in an attempt to push back the storm. It ravages the world every cycle, and it's up to you to gather resources to keep the scorched city aloft. You have a limited amount of time to work and secure a settlement before the surrounding forest overwhelms you and the queen's patience, or rather impatience, runs out, ending that cycle's attempt, forcing you to start over. Initially, each cycle allows you to secure 3 to 4 colonies prior to attempting to reforge a seal, the end goal of every cycle in the game. As with any roguelite, when a run ends, you'll be granted different forms of currency to improve your subsequent attempts. Of course, gaining more resources following a successful run, with improvements ranging from additional starting resources for your colonies to faster gathering speed of your workers to having better resilience against the corruption and hostility of the forest surrounding your settlements. I found that the variety of improvements and upgrades being offered allows for some very interesting starts in the runs, but you'll require a significant amount of currency, especially currency only obtainable when you reforge a seal to get those juicy rewards. At the start of each colony during a round, you'll be faced with multiple decisions that could drastically affect how you approach securing that settlement. Early on in your playthrough, the options are frustratingly limited, sometimes railroading you into using a specific style of play that you don't like or are not good at. However, as you unlock more upgrades and perks, and with each subsequent run during your gameplay, you'll be able to and will likely have to pivot to multiple styles of play during a run with your settlements. When it comes to the actual colony management and city building aspect of the game, it leans more towards colony management than city building, as it relies more on micro than macro management. You don't just plop down a building and let it work. You have to closely manage what workers are assigned to it, what inputs and outputs you want from it, and you'll also have to keep a close eye on resources available to it, sometimes even uprooting a building and relocating into another fresh set of resources. Some buildings you don't have to be as discriminate in placing as they are really easily and freely moved, while others require careful consideration of nearby warehouses, paths, and other production buildings, or your objectives and even aesthetics. During a run, you may not have access to all the buildings available to you, even ones you've unlocked. As part of the choices you make during a run is what resource gathering and production buildings you will get. Game knowledge is vital in these choices. However, early runs and cycles are quite forgiving if you make a bad decision or a dozen. This plays hand in hand with the objectives required of you during the run to secure the settlement, as some objectives will require a fairly specific set of buildings to attain, and occasionally you might feel locked out of a certain objective due to your poor choices. In my playthroughs and with limited knowledge, I've cursed multiple settlements into failure due to simply not understanding certain mechanics or not knowing enough about the game to have foresight of dead-end playstyles. A simple example is me relying too much on a meat-related production, because that's what I thought wins games. On maps where meat was so rare, I had to rely on sacrificing my workers for it, which inevitably hastened my queen's impatience and lost the game. Apparently, the queen doesn't like cannibalism or sacrificing their subjects for food. The game does give you multiple routes to secure a settlement or fulfill objectives. For example, if you have an objective to obtain luxury goods, however your plan included no buildings that can produce these goods, but you are able to generate a fair bit of crops, you can sell these crops to traders and purchase luxury goods with your coins. The game does also have a flavor of real-time strategy to it, as it requires you to explore the map around your settlement and uncover dangerous events and enemies. And while you can pause the game at any time, you still have to quickly react to these events as they are timed, or you will be quickly overwhelmed. Good planning and game knowledge is vital in later stages of a playthrough, as a bad pick or two at the start of a colony or discovering a difficult event too early will doom your colony to fail on harder difficulties, and in attempts to reforge the stronger seals. Now you're probably wondering how the game combines so many great aspects of multiple game genres and seems to meld them so well, since a jack of all trades is a master of none. So, well, what's the catch? The catch is simple: compromise. When it comes to roguelites, the compromise comes in the length of a run. From my experience, what makes a roguelite fun is reaching the end of a run quickly and efficiently, so I can cash in the meta rewards and upgrade and go again. For example, in Hades, a typical run is about 20 to 30 minutes. In Against the Storm, securing a single settlement can take up to 30 minutes to over an hour, depending on your pace of play, how often you are pausing, and the size of the map. And I would still need to secure 2 to 3 more settlements to finish an actual run, including the final reforging. On the opposite end, when it comes to a city building or colony management aspect of the game, while the depth and detail are there, the depth or detail isn't used in every cycle or run. You aren't free to build just how you please, nor are you given the time and freedom to have your plans flourish, as it is a race against the clock, or in this case, against the storm. I'm sure with more playtime and knowledge you might be able to finish runs quicker, or by putting it on a lower difficulty setting you'd have more time to enjoy the city building aspect, but I found myself burnt out after a full run, about 3 to 4 hours, not even getting to enjoy my new upgrades until my next gaming session. And honestly, that's what I found wrong with the game, and that's a reach at that. Against the Storm is an amazing game with a dedicated developer and a clear roadmap for the future. The learning curve of the game is quite steady, with the more you play, the more you get better. Difficulty settings are variable from an almost peaceful mode to an Iron Man mode. The gameplay is varied and fantastic. Perhaps later on there might develop a metagame, however for the first 40 hours, almost every settlement and run felt different enough and required some critical thinking to succeed. The sound and music design are great and put me in the mood to play for hours. During gameplay, the art style is top notch and the UI setup is fantastic. However, in the story beats and the main menu, there is a shift that feels like a different game with almost a JRPG vibe to it. Still top notch, but a strange choice to flip the art styles. My final thoughts might be a bit biased, as this game is a delicate mix of colony management and roguelites, both genres I love. If you hate one and love the other, and I don't use those words lightly, you will not enjoy this game. It's simply too long for roguelites and too short for colony management. However, if your feelings towards both genres are in any way positive, even a little, then I highly recommend you make time for Against the Storm. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you give you an idea about the game and if you should try it out. Check out more videos when you have the time, subscribe for future videos, and always make time for games.